Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. I hope you're well caffeinated and paying attention. Today, we're going to be discussing the state of staking. And just a brief about me, I'm Erwin Voloder, head of policy at the European Blockchain Association. We've spent quite a bit of time working with industry and with regulators on this topic. It's a very complicated topic. There's a lot of moving parts. So to get right in, let's jump to the questions and give our esteemed panelists here a chance to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Amor Sexton. I'm CEO of Blockdaemon. We're the world's largest infrastructure provider for Web3. We're really a gateway to Web3 with a wide variety of products and services that can meet the needs of any company that's looking to build on a blockchain or interact with the blockchain.
Hi everyone, can you hear me in the back? Yes? Staking, do you want to hear about staking? Raise the hand. Yeah, let's do it. It seems there's a lot of people from my team, so I hope there's definitely people from other teams as well interested about staking. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kiln, Laszlo, Szabo, and Kiln. We are the leading rewards platform for institutions. We offer staking in DeFi in a non-custodial way for these platforms, and we definitely a big staking player. We're the largest staking platform on Ethereum, for example. Happy to talk about staking today.
Great. Laszlo, let's start with you. What's got Kiln excited about staking currently, and what's your 2025 roadmap shaping up like?
Yeah, and I think we had kind of a similar path with Blockdaemon and Constantine back in the days. We did our first infrastructure product, so we were running private nodes in 2019, so like 6-7 years ago. That was the use case at the time. Then we run public chain, public nodes. That was 5 years ago, and then we do the staking 4 years ago, right? So staking was an evident play for validating transactions on blockchains. Today, it's the most used validation mechanism on all these blockchains. Maybe even Bitcoin, which is a proof of work chain, might turn to proof of stake in the future. Happy to talk about it. So yeah, I'm very excited about staking because it's the first rewards that you can find in the markets, and it's also the first or the best, the most efficient way to validate transactions on blockchain, which is an important thing to do.
Amor, same question, but looking at it from Blockdaemon.
I think from a staking perspective, we were one of the first ones in the market to do it. And what's exciting is to see the number of networks out there at the moment who are utilizing this methodology to secure their network. We're seeing the maturity of the technology as well, both the networks that have existed for a while who are maturing their own technology or the new entrants to the market. There's the NORS, the Node Operator Risk Standards Initiative, which we're very, very excited about, which is looking at really bringing in third-party certification for validator operators to ensure that validator operators are really meeting institutional needs when it comes to risk management, and that they can have that form of certification that would meet the standards of an enterprise due diligence. We are broader than staking, though. It is one of our products. So from a company perspective, we're really excited about some of the stuff that we're doing around our wallet technology as well. One of our products we're going to announce soon is being used by one of the world's largest financial institutions, live in production, which is very exciting for us. And then we're just continuing to build out our on-premises wallet product too, which is, again, meeting the needs of large regulated institutions who need to have that level of functionality and control over the functionality for their products.
Awesome. When you're looking at the certification for validator operators, like from an EVM perspective, are you talking about like vanilla proposers and those that are running attestation subnets, like grouping them together, or just generally?
It's a broad range of things. So it looks at a control framework for making sure that you're adhering to the protocol's rules. It looks at change management, key management, your operational resilience practices, your continuity of business. It's really about making sure that if you are operating Ethereum validators, you have that enterprise-grade operational processes in place, that operational excellence that institutions expect.
Laszlo, staking is a broad term, to put it loosely. There's technical staking. There's a lot of things that may be considered staking in name only. or Sino, and the term is thrown around quite a bit in the space. Can you just kind of unpack the difference between what technical staking actually is from a consensus perspective and what all of these potential microservices that are built on top of the staking infrastructure look like, and how you might group them?
Yeah, of course. And one of the reasons, by the way, coming back to your question, staking is exciting is because we follow blockchain path, and they're evolving very fast. It's super fast evolving market, maybe the fastest innovating market. So every 6 months there's a new narrative. That's what staking is actually exciting. So staking is the concept of validating transaction on a blockchain network, right? On a proof of stake chain. So you run a validator, you have a collateral, and then in proportion you are able to validate all these transactions. It's very different from the rest of DeFi, which people might also call staking. In that case, staking is not DeFi. It's a consensus layer reward. So you get the reward from the protocol fees and the inflation of the protocol. And actually DeFi becomes DeFi. The first part of DeFi is liquid staking. So it's the concept of representing in a token a liquid position in DeFi, liquid staking position in DeFi, and then all the rest kind of follows. So yeah, it's very important to differentiate it, the two rewards, staking and DeFi. And staking is the primary reward in blockchains, and yeah, it's also kind of the risk-free kind of rewards you can find compared to the rest of rewards on blockchains.
Amor, I know the Blockdaemon has also done some work in terms of grouping these things into different buckets. Can you just explain a little bit more and maybe elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, I think for me, staking it's really at the protocol level. It's a utility function at the end of the day. You're trying to secure the network by encouraging decentralization and distribution of the people who are participating in your network. The rewards function is incentivized participation. It costs money. It uses resources to be able to participate in these networks, and it's subsidizing that participation with these rewards. On the flip side of it, with this actual staked tokens, the ability to force adherence to your protocol's rules by imposing penalties if they don't follow that. So it's incentivized participation to ensure security of the network. And I think that's a really important thing to understand, because there's lots of other developments in the market where people are focused more on rewards, but everyone needs to remember that staking itself is a protocol security function at the end of the day, and its utility. And I think the market understands that now. I think probably about 12 months ago, I think it was still, the word staking was still confused with pooled offerings and other things that we saw more in the retail space. But I certainly, with all the conversations that we're having, even with regulators, I think they do understand the utility part of it at the moment. So I think that's the biggest thing to keep in mind, the utility function versus different business activities that people are doing with the tokens, where they may or may not use the word staking as part of the title.
I think you both raise a good point. Dissociation, what we've been trying to drill home is that it's network security through economic value at loss. Really, it's a penalty-based system due to slashing and other things. So, in one sentence, and then this brings us to the question of regulation, which is always a sticky subject. There's no elegant way to approach that. I mean, you have some regulators saying that the touch points or the hooks need to come at the validator level or at the application level or the execution level. So what do you think from a market perspective, and this is a general question to both of you, what is the appropriate course of action if you're a regulator and you're looking at this landscape? What should you be focusing on, and what should you be avoiding for the purposes of outright just scuttling the market altogether?
Yeah, we ourselves talking to a couple of regulators, either French regulators, AMF, or the commissioners for in Europe, for MiCA, or any frankly regulators in the world. Today, there's no clear regulation around staking. You don't need a license when you offer non-custodial staking services. There might be an exception in Singapore, though it's definitely an edge case. And the reason is staking is not lending, or it's not custody, right? When we or our customers actually using our services, we are not able to steal their funds. We're not able to access their capital. These capitals are essentially collateral on chain. So I think staking could be regulated in the future because there are some risks associated to it, which is slashing. We run validation keys, and there's definitely a small risk there. So we keep talking to regulators. First of all, to explain that custodial pooling staking is not similar than non-custodial staking, which is what we offer. It's also different from lending. But again, in the future, there might be a world where this space is a little bit more regulated, or at least watch. But for now, I would say, in the coming couple of years, staking and DeFi stays outside of any serious regulation.
I think for me, when we look at regulation, regulators are trying to address the risks that are inherent in the activities that you're carrying out. So a validator, for example, as Laszlo mentioned, we don't have access to the private keys, we're not custodying the assets. We also don't control the rules of the protocol, the bonding, unbonding periods, that's controlled entirely by the protocol. So what are the risks that are inherent in the activities that we carry out? And that's all about resilience, making sure the validators follow the rules of the protocol, making sure that our machines stay up and running, that we've got good operational controls and resilience. And that's exactly why things like NORs are so exciting, because we're getting ahead of it. The regulators are already asking what are the risks, and as an industry, we're recognizing what the risks are and holding ourselves to a certain standard to make sure that we are mitigating those risks at a technical level. So I think we're going to see some form of regulation in around staking activities. To the extent to which it addresses the validator's role, I think it's going to be interesting because it's so technical. But I think having these certifications and having these standards will really help to inform that narrative as well.
No, I completely agree, and I applaud you for your efforts in this regard. Laszlo, penultimate question for you. Looking at Pectra and the fact that it's coming up, have you guys given any thought to how some of the EIPs in Pectra might be affecting scope of staking services going forward? For example, max effective balance, execution layer, triggerable exits, things of that nature?
Yeah, two things, right? First of all, the effective max balance will increase, I think, from 32 ETH to 2048 ETH, which is definitely a good UX for staking providers. If you look at like other protocols, they are called DPoS, so delegated proof of stake, because there's no limits in terms of coins you can delegate to a specific validator. On Ethereum, you have to spin up a validator every 32 ETH. In that case, we'll be able to increase that limit. So it's going to be easier for us to run our operations. It's going to be better in terms of UX for the end user, specifically in institutions that is trying to stake their assets. Then the second feature of Pectra is actually the fact that you can have now fund keys that can essentially exit the funds, which makes it a complete non-custodial product. Today, you had to get access to the validation key to exit the funds. So we had to basically give our clients a pre-exit message so that they can sign on their behalf, and they don't have to rely on us if they want to exit their staking position. So that's actually very exciting. We're looking for Pectra to come.
Excellent. Amor, last question to you. What do you think, and this is just very broad, what do you think are the biggest challenges and opportunities to the scale-up of staking services from an institutional perspective going forward?
I think from an opportunity perspective, restaking is really interesting. The idea that you can use the same staked tokens to be able to secure multiple networks. I think that really helps from a scalability perspective for the ecosystem as a whole. So I think restaking is very exciting. From a challenges perspective, this one, it's probably my COO role rather than the CEO role, and it's quite, it seems quite small, but it actually does have an impact, and that is, as these protocols age, the requirements for the hardware increases. And I spoke earlier about incentivized participation. We need to make sure that the costs of actually participating in the network is proportionate to the incentivization. And I think that's a challenge that the networks need to tackle, because I definitely think that as the networks mature, it's going to be increasingly important because they want to encourage as many participants as possible in their network.
This kind of goes back to Vitalik's point in rainbow staking about splitting between heavy and light clients and having solo stakers versus institutional stakers, and it's a economy of scale situation at the end of the day, right? If you're an individual, what's your sunk cost versus institution? What can you actually afford to do, or not, if you really believe and you really want to secure the network? Any final remarks from either of you before we close off? I think we're pretty good for time management, so.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, this question of like what's exciting in the staking space coming is a good one. The cool thing in the staking space, the cool thing in the blockchain space is that every 6 months there's a new narrative. So Eigenlayer definitely restaking, this concept of securing other blockchain with the Ethereum security layer is interesting. It's also a very great opportunity for our clients in terms of rewards. And I would say L2's staking is coming, right? On Ethereum, all the volume used to be on the mainnet. Now all the volume of transaction going into L2s. And as staking providers, we validate these transactions. So we might be able to capture a little bit of values of L2s via staking them, running sequencers, shared sequencers. So there's a lot of research and cool projects launching in the coming months about this topic. And I think the most exciting topic now in the staking space, I mean, for me, is Bitcoin staking, right? Bitcoin is 70% of our market, of our asset class. And it used to be proof of work. There's now a whole DeFi NFT ecosystem building around Bitcoin with L2s, with restaking on Bitcoin. They want to leverage the Bitcoin security to power their own use case. And for our customers, it's definitely a massive opportunity, because since FTX, you don't have proper good rewards in the market. There's lending rewards, but they're not great, and they're actually quite risky. So if there's a decentralized rewards mechanism coming into Bitcoin, of course, all of our customers are very interested, and that's coming in a couple of months. We have seen Babylon, which is the first restaking project on Bitcoin. We've seen CoreDAO, CoreChain, OStax, and there's a couple of interesting projects in that space. So very bullish about Bitcoin staking. Today, Ethereum is the largest staking market. I'm confident, in a couple of years, maybe you will see Bitcoin spreading and passing Ethereum.
Absolutely, and for those of you who haven't read the Babylon Light paper, it's a little heavy on the math, but it's a great read, and definitely recommend you check it out. Thank you to both of you, and a round of applause for our panelists.